Hey there everyone, and welcome to today's first edition of Dave's Car Garage, or What's Up with the Cars, man? Anyway, it's our third season or our fourth season, depending on how you're counting, and today's car is one that I think will be a surprise to many people. It's a Pontiac. It's a Pontiac Grand Prix from 1963. Now in 63, General Motors was really on a high horse. They came out with the split window Corvette Stingray, an all new Stingray with the split window that only ran for a year. And they came out with the Riviera, combination Rolls-Royce and Ferrari. I have one of those. We might feature that next. And the Grand Prix, which kind of gets lost in the shuffle, it is a clean car. And it influenced General Motors cars up until about 1967. The clean flanks, the semi-formal roof, the vertical headlamps. Now, on this car, this is one of my white cars, but I think that even today you could do a white car show without being considered, inappropriate to the times. This was painted white, not because I'm, racist, but because I painted one set of cars white and one set of cars black, and I got rid of the blacks. The blacks weren't working out. They just didn't look right. They didn't fit in too well, and people didn't like being around them. So I got rid of the blacks. The black painted cars, that is. Something about the enamel didn't stick so well, and it was shiny. It wasn't flat like this. It didn't go on even, and sometimes you just got to call it a day. I think I have one or two hanging around, but the Grand Prix had vertical headlamps, which was sort of new back then. It might have been the first GM car with vertical headlamps. It had, it had a roof made for vinyl, and it was very, very, influential on what was to come next. The 65 Pontiac would kind of take this all away, and then they would fool around with it with wraparound bumpers, and they put the windshield wipers on. Now notice the hidden windshield wipers, but you notice these windshield wipers, they're flap at you, clappers. So that was on all GM full-size cars for that 6-year run that they had, or 4-year from 61 through 64. And, it's got vent windows still. It's got no fender skirts. No doubt had white walls, and has a long hood, and it even has a long deck. Now the long hood short deck format came in with the the Mustang, and and it ran the realm of many cars. But this one has sort of a long deck, not as long as the hood like some cars did, but it has a long deck. Now, when it comes to the 67 Grand Prix, you got to remember, it started in 62, and in 62 it was basically an option package on the Grand Prix, and it didn't really distinguish itself. I mean, it was cool. People thought, oh, that's something that they're up to. I mean, GM was up to a lot of things in the early 60s, but in 63 they really just said, this is a separate car. It's based on the full-size Pontiac. It's not that separate, but it is very distinguished from the full-size Pontiac. Even has that concave rear window a little bit, which was going to become popular on certain GM cars in the time to come. The stylist here, the head stylist, was Bill Mitchell, and he came up with a new idea every time out, and this was his heyday. He had taken over in 1958, and he did over the 59s, he did the 60s, and he was to stay as the stylist until I think 77, but his influence really ran until about 73. After that, it was a little bit watered down, either by other stylists in the studio or just by the fact that the freedom was no longer what it was for regulation purposes, money purposes, lack of money because they were spending it all on a lot of regulation stuff. But the Grand Prix started in 62, and it ran for a long time. It ran as a full-size to 68. 69, it became a mid-size personal. That stayed the same until about '87, you know, and they had a downsizing of that in 80 and 78, a restyle in 81. 88, it went front-wheel drive. 97, it gained some beauty back. And 2004 was the swan song, and they replaced it with the G8, a car that was going to sell 40,000 a year, replaced a car that sold, 150,000 a year. So why did Pontiac fall off the off the realm of GM cars? Because they were trying to do a million things, and whatever they decided to do one season, a couple years later they decided to do something else. They had dropped the ball. So in that realm, the Grand Prix, like anything else, had a long run. I mean, the run may have been, with its ups and downs, but it's safe to say from 62, 63 maybe, until, I'd say all the way to 87. It was a grand run of the Grand Prix. And also, it started the grand nomenclature for Pontiac. There then became the Grand Am, the Gran Turismo Alamogado, which was the GTO, the Grandville, and then the Grand Marquis for Mercury. If you wanted to make your car stand out, just add Grand to the name. And that was really it. So this car is a beauty. I'm glad I have it. You know what? I don't even mind that I painted it. The paint doesn't really bother me. I think the white is just, something that works. And you can look around. My car collection has started to reappear on the table. There's from right to left. There's the Jag, the Impala. Behind the Impala is the Mercedes. Then there's the Hornet hatchback. There's the Plymouth Savoy. The what's that? The Olds from what year is the Olds from? I think it's from '50. And the police car, the Buick police car. Not many Buick police cars outside of Flint, Michigan. But so we honor today the Grand Prix, and look at those tail lamps. They're what you call high-style vertical tail lamps. They kind of mimic the Cadillac's verticalness, but they have a Pontiac curve to them. I mean, they don't style them like they used to. There's just no two ways about it. And the filler cap is on the fender. You think that was a recent development. Anyhow, I was going to take you out on this Grand Prix, go boulevarding, but then I remember the boulevard is in one of the worst neighborhoods in New Haven. And that wouldn't be nice to take a good friend like my Grand Prix into a dangerous neighborhood. It would take the beating. I wouldn't. I mean, that's kind of ideal, but it's my car. It's not like I'm taking a friend there. My friend takes the beating, que sera. Anyway, we're not going to go for a ride. We're just going to, take the old look. So today, the first episode of Dave's Grand Garage, that's what we're going to call it, Dave's Grand Garage, is the Grand Prix. So I thank everybody for stopping in. And if you want to know what I've been up to today, here is a car drawing, the Plymouth Chipper. Why didn't they think of that name? It took me to think of that name. So have a good day, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.